We're good on safety. You guys are all, I promise you just maintain your safety. I have a Schoolmaster. I bought a Schoolmaster about 1.5 years. I rode as a kid, did the hack, out in the field thing. Hardly ever took lessons. Then for 20 years, I did my swimming career, and then I did one of those City Slickers vacations. I'm on vacation. Remember that? No, it was great. I completely got reacquainted with my love of horses, and then I started riding, and luckily happened upon a dressage barn and just fell madly in love with it. But as an adult, I'm a chicken. For sure. Well, a bit of a chicken. And I have this Schoolmaster, and he was like bomb-proof. And he's super wonderful, and I'm riding him around. I have this fabulous barn and this great indoor arena, and ice slides off the roof, and it sounds like a helicopter's landing on us. And he decided to run and buck and buck and buck and buck and buck until I became a human trajectory. And then, and I'll tell you, man, it put some fear in me after that, so I can do this lesson well. But for me, now, if there's ice on the roof, I'm making, a decision about whether or not I'm getting on my horse. Because guess what? Even though he didn't get hurt and have to be on Percocet for a long time, still, no, I'm kidding. He was 5 years. Yeah. Wait, I got to take another one. No. It was not fun for him either. He was terribly traumatized, and it didn't build any confidence in him to have that happen either. So I think about that. So think about those kinds of things. What can you do to keep yourself safe? Okay, so what happens? We started to touch on this a little bit, but really there's always kind of that instigating event. And that instigating event can be as simple as a thought or a memory. Okay, so something happens. You see, smell, taste, touch, feel. Did I say hear yet? Hear something, and it sets you off. And this whole litany of thoughts, feelings, emotions, and physical responses occurs, right? And you're like, well, shoot, there it goes. I may as well just quit right now. Right? Is that pretty much how it goes? It go any differently for anybody else?
My question is, why does it seem, is it accurate to say, and if so, why, that as we get older, we seem to be afraid of more things?
Yep. Well, because we break easier.
But if you have more time in the saddle where nothing is in fact happening, then I guess that's where I understand that I get more afraid and see other people getting more afraid, but why is it that the more we have more positive experiences, we still continue to become more cautious?
I'm going to chalk that one back up to the biological imperative. I think as we get older, we become physically less agile, mobile. As our hormones change, after age 30, our amount of growth hormone decreases significantly. By the time we're 80, we have none, right? So physically, we have great cause to become more and more cautious. So that would be my guess. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on. Do you guys ever think about making your heart beat? Okay, come on. Beat, 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 right? So there are all these things that our bodies do for us that we have no idea of or no control of. And aging is one of them, unfortunately. Yes, sir.
If I can add to that, there's some studies that were done by NASA on near misses. And the more near misses that you have, the less afraid you become.
Sure, it's desensitization. Although I don't really want to fly with somebody who has a lot of near.
That's the problem. It's a real They'll take more risks.
No, you're absolutely right. And they were looking at training police officers, and they did this one training with police officers, and they exposed them to those ferocious killer dogs over and over and over again, and they studied their heart rates. And their initial heart rates went up to almost 150. And after 5 exposures, the same thing, they just did boom, 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 boom. Then they had 75, heart rates of 75. They cut their heart rates in half and taught them how to deal with that type of thing. You look at people who were event riders or who used to ride young horses, who trained and rode young horses, right? So do you have the same kind of a fear as someone who started as an adult and rides only Schoolmasters?
I think I have more because of it.
Maybe you have more because of it, but you watch, okay? We're talking about the people who you know, they know, they have had that experience. They've ridden those bucks and those gallops. Yes.
I work for a doctor who specializes in anti-aging programs and balancing hormones, and I want everyone to know it's not just riders that have anxiety as they get older. It's pretty much across the
everyone.
board.
Yep.
It's a very common problem.
Just go to Beverly Hills and you'll...
We have tons of patients in all walks of life. At a certain age, everyone gets anxiety, it seems.
Sure. Yes. Yeah, you're right. And if you have strong anxiety, it is not going to get better. It isn't, and you should do something about it to help manage it because it impacts the quality of your life.
Is it normal that you start out with a fear, say riding your first dressage test in front of a judge,
Yep.
and then
Bless you.
as time goes on, the fear backs up to now you're afraid once you get to the show, and then the next time you're afraid when you're hauling to the show, and then it just keeps backing up to the point of when you're doing laundry and washing those stupid white pants. You start freaking out.
I love that. Let's give her, that was awesome.
Yeah, I hung it up. Said, forget it.
Anyone else can relate to that. Washing those stupid white pants.
Oh,
I love
it's
that.
the pits.
Yeah, it's the pits. And it is. And you know what? What happened to you is that you had a bad experience and you had no tools or techniques or strategies to deal with your fear. So what did it do? It got bigger. Have you guys seen this happen with a horse? How about a horse that has a little bit of trouble going on the trailer? Okay, and then they have a bad ride, and then you can't, there is no lunge rope, whip, broom that you should ever be using anyway to get Carrot. Come on, Spunky. Nothing will get them on the trailer. We're the same way. You have a bad experience, and it can go either way. So it's not that it's normal, but it is very common. And what you have to do is you have to figure out how to intercept. How do you stop those patterns while they're in the middle? Okay, so what happens? The process of fear. What happens is we react. We don't intentionally act, we react. So most of our fear responses are given to us. By the time we're this age, all of us at 29, we have seen, felt, experienced, reacted to fear enough times that we have a pattern of how we act. But it's really not an action, it's a reaction, it's a response. There's very little that we even actually think about. Anybody think about someone in their barn who's very afraid and it's very easy to see and you know exactly what's gonna happen every time? That's you. That would be me, she says, right? It's incredibly powerful, but actually the good news is that it's a habit. And guess what you can do with habits? You can change them.